Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content and help you answer the question, do all movies need to be 4 hours now? Maybe. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
No.
Good to know. Also joining us again, Radio Watson's Buddy Watson.
Look, all movies don't have to be 4 hours going forward, but they should all be in the 4:3 aspect ratio. And that is the truth.
Ooh, big claims.
I don't know why I'm trying to throw out, that's how you end a wrestling promo. I don't know why I did that.
That's it.
Alright, today we'll be talking about what's in our watch history. We'll cover a little bit of news and our top 3 for this week. Kick things off, obviously. If you missed it in our podcast feed, we did a spoiler cast for Zack Snyder's Justice League. But if people don't want to go listen to that, what do you think of the film?
It was great. 4:3 aspect ratio was fantastic. The low color saturation helped to set the tone consistently more and get away from the more bright, vibrant, let's chase the Marvel kind of aesthetic that they went with Joss Whedon's cut. I loved that they took away the kind of jokes and eye roll, cringeworthy one-liners that they threw, and they still had a comedic element in the Zack Snyder cut, but I feel it's spaced out a lot better and less disruptive to the tone as well. And it's a lot more coherent in general. So it was a lot better.
Dylan?
Fuck Joss Whedon. You know what I'm saying? Get the hell out of here, you damn dirty firefly.
Wow.
See what I did there, everyone? See what I did there? Because he did the show. And it was cancelled like he is now! Fucking boom!
Oh.
Yeah, he was not cancelled by the internet. He was slayed by the internet.
Hey.
Slayed like all the vampires.
See what I did there? I also made a reference.
Angel.
Yeah. I was trying to think of one for Angel, but I was going to say Zack Snyder came down like an angel from above, but I was like, that's a bit too much there. So, no, yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I like all of these. I like all of Snyder's movies, the DC movies. So I enjoyed this one. It's very long. There's a lot of things you could critique about it. But for the most part, I did very much enjoy it. I would give it like an 8. Good shit.
Good shit.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. Vast improvement on the ultimately forgettable Justice League from 2017. Everything made a lot more sense. A lot of the characters were a lot more fleshed out. It is 4 hours, so it was a slog to sit through too, especially late at night. So I am keen to watch this early in the morning, or reasonable time in the morning when I'm fully awake. You can appreciate everything, So, yeah, I think you should definitely try Justice League.
You should try. You should try and watch the 4-hour movie.
If you didn't like it, I think I'd be interested to see the binge the numbers of people who redeem free trials to watch it on binge. I
think they're very high.
Like I did, yeah. I figured out if you've got a Telstra Plus membership account, you can redeem a 3-month subscription for free.
Oh, 3-month
trial, yeah.
Damn.
So, checking out all that binge content, not really.
Should watch that Woody Allen versus Pharaoh documentary.
Oh, well, Dylan, that was on the list, but seeing as you brought it up, do you want to talk about the Pharaoh versus Allen documentary?
Yeah, so I think I've got one episode left, but so far it's just it's good. I feel like a lot of this stuff I already knew because I've read so much about, I guess, the Woody Allen and the accusations and this sort of stuff. I feel like this would be a very good watch for people who are like, Woody Allen, he was just accused, right? Surely we shouldn't have to worry too much about him. He was never actually sentenced for anything. Surely he's okay. Because this documentary, particularly, I think when it gets to episode 3, when Dylan Farrow is talking about, how fucked up her childhood was and how she's like had this terrible anxiety and, you know, all this stuff growing up, and they're like talking to her husband and how they're talking about the first time they as they referred to it, were fooling around for the first time when they started dating, and she like freaked out and she never really realized how scarred she was from the what Woody did to her as a kid. So I think like seeing stuff like that and hearing it from her would help for people who don't really understand. And then she straight up says and brings up a topic that I'm a huge fan of, obviously, which is all of anything and all of separating art from artist. And you know, she has a line where she pretty much says, "I'm sick of that conversation. Like, I'm sick of that always being the crux of people's reasoning for why they can keep supporting him." And it cuts all these clips in from like bloggers and people talking about news stations and stuff, and being like, you know, we need to be able to separate the art from the artist and all this sort of stuff. So obviously, I really like that segment of the episode, but. Yeah, it's really good. Obviously, it's very one-sided. So, and I think it should be, because I don't think it's something where there should be a even mix. This is not the sort of thing where I need a middle ground. It is very much against Woody Allen, and that's the way it should be made, in my opinion. And that's perfectly fine. It has a lot of interviews with the Farrow side of the family, I guess, and obviously nothing to do with him and his friends. There's lots of title cards at the end of the episodes where it says so-and-so declined interview, so-and-so declined interview, so-and-so declined interview, so-and-so, like all these people they talk about but just wouldn't do it, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely a good, well, it's a hard watch at times, but it's a good watch at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I checked out, thanks to Sony Pictures Australia and Dendy Cinemas, French Exit, the latest film starring Michelle Pfeiffer, directed by Azazel Jacobs, also starring Lucas Hedges, in which they play mother and son. She was been a socialite within a Manhattan heiress to a fortune from her late husband, who, you know, they've used up all the money, unfortunately. So she decides, or she's talked into moving to Paris to live at her friend's apartment. So they both pick up their lives and sort of move to Paris, and you know, different. It's kind of, this is a very odd, surreal kind of film. It's got some black comedy, very like kind of, I don't know. It's hard to wrap my mind around how it made me feel. It was very funny at times. It definitely went in directions that I wasn't expecting. Michelle Pfeiffer is amazing. She's like very sarcastic, and, you know, someone who really doesn't care a lot about what other people think or want and that kind of thing, to a certain degree. I found it really enjoyable. Lucas Hedges plays a very subdued role. Is very much like a mama's boy to us, I guess, is easiest to describe it, because obviously at the start of the film he's engaged to Imogen Potts' character, but he hasn't told her about his mother's engagement. He hasn't told his mother about the engagement, you know, and then he tells her that he's moving to Paris, you know, instead of you know, so they kind of break up and that kind of thing. It's definitely an interesting film. It's one of those quirky ones that I feel is not going to work for everyone. It's very vague and, you know, obtuse and that kind of thing. But I think for some people it's going to be something they really love. So definitely check out French Exit if any of that sounded interesting. I didn't watch a trailer going in, so I don't know how much of the trailer reveals about certain plot elements and that kind of thing. Like, yeah, I don't want to say too much. Because I think, going in with very little knowledge was a good experience for me. So, check out French Exit in cinemas now. Something else that is in cinemas now, Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, Jesse Plemons, telling the story of the FBI informant William O'Neill's betrayal of Black Panther Party chairman Fred Hampton back in the late 1960s Chicago. Obviously got a lot of Oscar love, which we'll talk about later in the episode. Really interesting story, obviously very relevant to today, as often these kind of biopics are at times. Daniel Kaluuya is amazing. Really great performance. I think the only issue I had in retrospect is apparently Fred Hampton was 21 when he passed away. Daniel Kaluuya is not 21. But, you know, I guess you can overlook those kind of things. But yeah, like obviously the Keith Stanfield's gets character William O'Neill gets forced into being an FBI informant after a car robbery goes wrong, and is forced to infiltrate the Black Panther Party, and sort of his allegiances are tested at different points and that kind of thing. So again, a really interesting film. I definitely think worth checking out. Really good soundtrack, really well shot. I think there was some like slight audio things where I did the dialogue wasn't quite loud enough for me, but they could just be me and my hearing going. So, but other than that, yeah,
you're getting old now.
Yeah,
so.
I am getting old. Too much to listen to loud music on my headphones. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. Obviously, yeah, worthy of the love it's getting. Cool. So, Dylan, you managed to. You've watched a few things that we may have talked about in the last episode. Well, you weren't here, so we'll cover them. You watched Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya and the Last Dragon. My apologies.
Right, you did it. And I warned you this morning. Raya and the Last Dragon. Yeah, I think this has jumped straight away into my top 5 Disney films. I pretty much echo what you said on the episode 2 weeks ago. It is really, really good to the point that you're just enjoying being in the world they've created for that film so much so that when it ends, you're like, oh, that, come on. I wanted to spend more time in this world. I was enjoying the characters and everything they were setting up. So, you know, that's just a positive as well as kind of an annoyance. The film is so beautiful though. Like, I think it's just one of the best well-animated things I've seen in quite some time. I couldn't not get over the hair. And I know that's like the first thing I tweeted about when I left the cinema. I was like, the fucking hair in this movie is insane. I could not. I'm like, it's just next level. I know they was doing Good Hair of Soul. We talked about that. That came out late last year. But I just feel like this was a step up. Everyone has great hair in this movie. Quite funny. Great. I'm trying to track down a plush of Tuk Tuk. I'm still not having much success. Now, I could pay exuberant postage fees to get a Tuk Tuk plush delivered from America. Not willing to pay that. Hoping they'll shop at Toy World or Target or Kmart. If anyone sees a Tuk Tuk plush in the wild, you can find my Twitter. It's at Vivaldil, Vivaladil, and you can help me out. Thank you very much. But I would like a Tuk Tuk plush. Thank you, because I am a child at heart. But no, very good. Very, very good. I liked it very much. Can't wait to watch it again.
Cool. Well, I mentioned you watched one of the big animated films from last year, Wolfwalkers. Finally got that. Watch that.
Finally watched Wolfwalkers on
Apple TV Plus.
TV Plus, yep. Very good. Very, very, very good. It's like I guess you kind of get too much. We get so much used to
3D animation,
animated movies where it's like it's either Disney or Universal. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like you have two sides of the coin for animated movies or Japanese stuff. You know, it's like as far as like what's in the cinemas, you can watch like a Universal thing, like a Despicable Me, or you get a Disney thing. And I feel like that's the two defined things. And then if you're into anime, you're into anime. This is like a third category where it's new, exciting. The story being told seems like it's a take on a fairy tale or something you feel like you would know, but it's completely different. All the characters are great. The animation style is fantastic. The voice work is great. Old mate, who the fuck Game of Thrones as the dad, Sean Bean or whatever, yeah, as a dad. I was like, oh, is he going to die? No spoilers, but I'll leave that one open to you. Then
for England, James,
it's like we'll see what happens there. But no, I really, it was really good. It has some really good concepts and stuff, especially with the whole. My favorite sequence in it involves I don't know how much I want to get in spoilers, but I mean the setup for the movie is about like human characters who, when they sleep, they turn into wolves, and they're called wolfwalkers. And there's a sequence in the movie where someone is a wolf for the first time. They didn't see it coming. It's like this kind of like shock and what's going on. That was a great scene. So I'm hoping, I don't know, like I kind of what's nominated at the Oscars. I'm like, oh man, maybe this is my front runner at the moment. Honestly, out of because I wasn't up. I had some problems with Soul, obviously, and that's the one that people want to win. So I don't know.
Yep. Then you checked out Nomadland. Finally
Yeah, I
got to a
really,
cinema
really
that was
liked.
playing it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I traveled outside Tassie and just to watch Nomadland. That was the sole reason for my trip. It was really good though. I very much enjoyed it. It's hard to really. I to a degree, I would agree with what Buddy said on the episode a couple of weeks ago, where it's, he was saying he just wanted a little bit more from it. I would say that I didn't, but I would understand why someone would, if that makes sense. Like for me, I was perfectly happy with the way the film ended and what it gave me. I actually found the ending sort of emotional, so it hit for me for whatever reason. I couldn't even tell you why. It's just one of those things where you're like, it connected with me on it. I don't know why, but it obviously worked. And I found a lot of the scenes in the movie sort of emotional, which is quite weird because it's a very American story. Like it's straight up an American story, and that's not what I'm really connecting with. I guess it's just the human story, because it is just a straight up very human story about being fucked over by the man to a degree and just wanting to live your life, and human connection, and how nice people can be amongst all of the shit in the world and this sort of stuff. Fantastic performances all around, of course. Dornard's fantastic as the lead, but then everyone else in the movie who are just playing themselves or whatever, just these actual nomads that they had act in the movie, do such a good job, especially in some of these really emotional scenes where I'm like, are you not real actors? Like, I don't really, you're doing quite well. I know. And I think a lot of them are actually telling their own stories, like that they're legit stories, but obviously for the movie. And I guess that's why it works, because they can kind of tap into that emotional energy and stuff like that. So, Chloe Zhao, that's right, isn't it? Director Chloe Zhao? Yeah, she's, if this doesn't win, I don't know, like best picture's a tough one to tie up, but so far, as far as like best director, this would have to easily take my pick. I'm a bit on the best picture, I'm not sure, I'm leaning a couple ways, but best director, I don't know, she definitely deserves someone as far as I'm concerned right now, but it's as the come back to like Buddy wanting more, I guess. Like when I left the cinema, Cherie, who I watched it with, was like, oh no, I think it didn't work for her, because her first question was, do you feel like that should have had something more at the end? And I was like, no. So like, I get, that's just like,
Yeah, and for me, like, it's not like there should be more, there should be another storyline or anything. It's like the more also means like it's great how it was, but I wish there was more in it, or something else that made me vibe with it, or made me feel something a bit more. Like I kind of was. It was more of like a cynical, like looking from the outside in, like I guess specifically with how you're saying, like with how American it is. And it's like, I'm just like, I'm not, like, I get it. I get what I should be feeling, but I'm kind of feel like I'm on the outside looking in. I'm not really engrossed in it. And I wish I was.
Because the ending is it's open-ended, obviously. It doesn't give you it leaves a lot of things, like a lot of directions the character could head at the end of the movie, and it doesn't tell you where they're going. So I kind of like that.
I wish I was feeling that at the end. I wish I was feeling like, I wish like the credits rolled and I'm just like, man, I wish I was I wish I was in that emotion right now of what she was in that situation, or like feeling that. But I'm just like, it's not hitting for me. Why is it not hitting?
Yeah, as I said, it's very weird because, like, without spoilers, the entire last sequence of the movie is kind of where she goes to a place that I just have no relatability to at all. It is like straight up like a very just American thing that I have no connection to. And I do think it just solely boils down to she does such a good, Frances McDormand does such a good job at portraying that character, and the way it's shot and the way it's filmed. Because there's no dialogue in that last 5-10 minutes of the movie. It's all just Frances looking at stuff and walking around and whatever. Like it got across the emotional message of the film for me. So I thought it was really, really good. I gave it a 9 on Trakt. So
okay. Speaking of films that Buddy talked about last episode, you watched Chaos Walking.
What a piece of shit. Yeah. So as soon as I was listening to the episode you did last when I was on the plane, and I couldn't help but laugh. I always find it funny if you laugh on the plane, like the person sitting next to you is like, what the fuck is that? But I was like, I laughed as soon as, because like whatever Buddy said, but he was like, yeah, this is crap or whatever. I'm like, Yep. So Chaos Walking, and I mean, he didn't say, because I know the scene that upset him, and I understand why that triggered the emotions for him. And like that aside, the film is still shit. So it's not like it's not like this scene upset and triggered me like because of a thing. It's like
it was already like and then that was like, well, this is already, and you want to fucking do this to me. And I was
like if the movie was good, I was
feeling like, let's get the fuck out of here. But I was like, nah, that goes against my mantra of leaving.
Because if the movie was good, that could have upset you, but you would have stayed because you would have been like, oh, like I'm upset, but I'm enjoying the movie. Like I feel like they may have potentially balanced one. I don't know, but it's like if the movie sucks ass and you're like, man, this movie's just like pissing me off at this point. So yeah, I totally got that. But yeah, the movie's bad. Daisy Ridley's like fine in it. Fucking what's his name? Tom, whatever his name is. What's his name? Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
What? Tom Holland, yeah, old mate. He's miscast. It's kind of boring as fuck in this movie. The concept seems cool at first, but then it's just kind of boring as shit. Mads Mikkelsen's kind of fun, I guess. They introduce a lot of plot threads that seem more interesting than the direction the plot actually goes. Action scenes aren't even shot well, and it's from the director of Edge of Tomorrow, so I'm like, what the fuck happened there? And like, there's just a lot of weird, and I know it's based on a book series because maybe that's why there's like a whole scene at one point where I'm like, oh, what the fuck's happened here? And then they never talk about it ever again, or it never comes back throughout the rest of the movie. But no, this is, I guess, the worst movie I've watched so far this year. Definitely my pick. It's just a turd. It's a polished turd, is what I'd give it.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. You also watched Coming to America, TWO.
So that was slightly better than this, I guess, but I thought that was pretty shit too. So it wasn't a big run, but it just, because obviously we rewatched the first one and we did a spoiler cast on this podcast feed for it. And I was so surprised as we talked about that and how well that movie actually held up. I was like, wow, a lot of the jokes still work. This doesn't have like super over the top, like, sexist or homophobic jokes, which I feel like a lot of times when you go back to these old movies, you're like, oh no, like, oh, why is that there? And it didn't really have much of that. And a lot of the jokes still worked. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. And then Coming to America, I just don't think they knew why people liked the first one, why the characters were interesting. The whole setup for the movie just makes absolutely no sense. In fact, it's probably the setup for the movie is probably more offensive than any of the jokes in the first movie. Because I'm like, okay, I'm going to spoil the setup in case, I can't remember if you did or not, but the setup is literally, they're like, hey, Leslie Jones's character sort of raped Eddie Murphy's character and now she has a child. So there you go. That's how it happens. Because they make a whole joke. They're like, oh, you got drugged and then you had sex and now you've got a child you didn't know about. And Eddie Murphy's like, nah, that didn't happen. I'm like, pretty sure we're talking about rape right now to a degree, but that's okay. That's where the plot's going. None of the jokes are fun. The best character in the movie is I can't remember the name. The girl out of that Charlize Theron movie, the one the one that was on Netflix, where she's like they die and they come back to life. The one that came out last year. Ash?
Yeah.
Oh,
what was that called?
The Old Guard.
I just watched it recently.
Yeah, the Old Guard. The Old Guard. Hold on, I need to find this person's name real quickly so I can get it right. The co-star, Kiki Lane, right? So she's in this as well, who was like the other main character in that movie. And I've seen a lot of her lately because I watched Beale Street like at the start of the year and whatever else. I've been seeing a lot of her. Good. She's fantastic in this. She should have been the main character, not the son. They should have made the plot revolve around her. Eddie Murphy should have been like a side character, and this should have been like Creed, where she's the main character. Eddie Murphy's character is like the side character or something, and it revolves around her like overcoming because her character's thing in this is, oh, you can't have a female take the throne. So then they still could have done that storyline and had her overcome it, but focused on her and made like fun jokes and whatever else and changed the character. I don't know. In my head, I have a lot better movie. This movie's pretty shit. Don't watch it. Watch the first one again. There's my review.
Watch the TO, not the TWO.
Yep.
All right. Another movie that I talked about last episode that you've both got around to watching now. Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry. Buddy, what'd you think?
Yeah, hot off the heels of Simon, watching it last week. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I loved how kind of almost humble it showed. Like, some people can look at artists like Bieber and all these child artists and kind of like, they're kind of manufactured and there's no sincerity in any of this kind of stuff. Whereas showing the whole family being homeschooled growing up and using music as an outlet, and, you know, it's kind of the bond she has with music with her family and just making music just in their house and everything. I feel like it's more I know they're making an album and everything and art, but it feels like it's more sincere. It comes from a more genuine place than just like, let's kind of turn this person into some kind of pop artist type thing. So I thought it was great. Got more of an insight into the dynamics with her family and kind of her own anxieties and issues that she's facing that are kind of reflective in her music as well. So I loved it. I love Billie Eilish and I love her music. And this was great.
Yeah, this is a fantastic music documentary. I very much enjoyed it. For the like warts and all, I guess it's because you get to see her getting anxious. You get to see her having these arguments with her brother where she's like, I sound shit, I can't sing, all this sort of stuff, and her brother having to be like, no, it's great, you know, like all these sorts of scenes. And they even leave in the scenes where she's like being a little bit too over dramatic or whatever, but it's simply because she's a fucking like 17, 16, whatever, how old she is when she's recording this, 16, 17, whatever, I can't even remember. Like she's a kid, like with all this stuff happening, or a teenager, I guess, whatever, you know. I don't know, seems like a kid to me, I guess, but so you get it. But I like they leave in some of these scenes where she's coming across a bit like a bit agitated or whatever, because it's like, well, that's her struggling through things. That's real emotion. That's real, you know, like someone being a real person. They didn't try and like make it this ultra positive outlook on like Billie, like, you know, cut out all the bad stuff or whatever. So and her whole family seems great. You know, we all wish we had a dad like her dad, I guess is
Yep.
another takeaway for sure. It's just, yeah, it's real. I guess, like, I already really loved her music, obviously, I guess, and from what I'd see from her as a person, I was like, yeah, she seems like a nice person. But then this is definitely one of these documentaries where you watch it and you come out the other end appreciating the artist a lot more than you may have previously, or affirmed how you maybe felt the person was, and you get to see them like that. So, you know, I can't wait for the next album. But I guess the other thing is, like, watching this, you're like, because I've had thoughts where I'm like, come on, it's been a couple of years, where's the next album, like where's the next song and stuff. But then watching this and seeing how she struggles with, like, you know, writing the songs and coming together and all this sort of stuff, now I'm like, take your time, I don't want to, let's just chill, you know, like, it's fine, we get, yeah. But yeah, fantastic documentary. I would put it in my, like, probably top 5 music docos I've watched personally.
Wow. Would you put it in a top 3?
Possibly, I don't know. The only one that was mentioned from last week's episode that would be in my top 5 is the Some Kind of Monster documentary, because that is warts and all. That is literally just Metallica fucking yelling at one another and being like assholes. They're all assholes in that. None of them look good, and that's why that documentary is so good. It's just so raw. It's fucking fantastic.
Cool. So you've watched part of another another music documentary, Supervillain: The Making of Tekashi 6X9.
It's 6ix9ine, Ash. It's fine. I know you're getting old, but it's you just say Tekashi 6ix9ine.
It's okay. It's no Dua.
It doesn't make
Lipa.
sense.
Wow, Dua Lipa.
The 6 doesn't look like a S, and the 9 doesn't look like a 9.
Ash, you're talking about a guy who has 69 tattooed on his face and all over his body. I don't think it's supposed to make sense, you know. It's provocative. What does it mean? Nobody knows. You know, like it's fine. Yeah, I think I have like an episode or 2 to watch that I haven't actually caught up on yet. I think I was like 3 in or whatever. I'm enjoying it. And not from this is the opposite point of view. I don't like this person. I don't like their music. I don't like what I've seen or heard or read about them as a person. This documentary has not turned the table at all. And it very much just affirms that this person's kind of shitty. The music's shitty. But in a lot of ways it delves into, like, in what world could someone like Tekashi 6ix9ine be created? Like, what drives someone to act and do the things he does, make the sort of provocative, outrageous music that they do that's just absolute nonsense. You know, like when I was young and my parents used to be like, you listen to that rap shit, it just fucking sounds like noise, like it sounds like nothing. Listening to his songs is that to me. Like, it is just noise, rubbish, gibberish. There's absolutely nothing about it. But as a documentary, like however many episodes this is supposed to be, I think it's like 6 maybe when it finishes or something like that, probably. it is interesting just to know the story, to hear interviews of people, what happens, a lot of unseen behind the scenes footage, I guess. Giancarlo Esposito's the commentator. What do you call it? The narrator, sorry. The narrator. So, always good to see that. It's got some cool little bits in between the segments where they have they call it making of a villain. And it's they have all these doctors come in and they play with things and cut, I don't know, it's really stop motion put together. It's kind of a cool way to break up the different parts of the documentary and stuff. So I'm enjoying it. I will be watching the rest of it.
Cool. Then you've checked out the documentary Jamie and Hudson from Sky to Sea.
Yes, I'll have a review up presumably by the time this goes up. I'm probably going to give this quite a high score. This was really, really, really good. It's about this. I never heard of this person, Jamie Hudson. It's set WA somewhere, Australia, a beach coasty type location. He had a motorcycle accident, and now he's a paraplegic. And he is someone who used to go surfing all the time. He's a very I live on the beach dude. You can picture the type of dude. He's he was going motorbike riding, he's going surfing. He loved to get out in the wild. Yeah, very active lifestyle. So obviously it's losing all of that, it would have heavily affects him. But for the most part in this documentary, there are a couple scenes where he breaks down. You can tell he struggles sometimes with not being able to do certain things or whatever. It's just one of those documentaries where you watch where seeing how positive he is and his positive outlook and the way he's adapting to life and still trying to chase his dreams. It's kind of to a degree, it's like watching Penguin bloom. It's a sort of same story of someone sort of wanting to do things they wanted to do before and having to adapt or whatever, because he really gets into photography, drone photography. And that's what he got famous for on YouTube. All these videos started getting millions of hits or whatever, because he'd go out and record whales and stuff for his drone and all this sort of stuff. And that's kind of what took him off. And in this, they follow him being I want to go out on a boat. And I want to film whales right up next to him on a boat. And they're we can't really do that because the rocky waves and what happens if you fall over and all this sort of stuff. So they work through the process of that. But his big dream, that's the climax of the movie, is he wants to go swimming with dolphins, wants to get into the water. And obviously that takes a lot of hurdles, and a lot of people throughout the documentary being look, if you get water in your lungs, you're fucked. This is very dangerous or whatever, and they're pushing through it. And there's a lot of cool scenes where he recently got married. He met this, I think she's Canadian, this girl at a bar, and they clicked it off or whatever, and they actually just had a child as well. It's she's just having a child in this and all that while he's trying to sort of chase his dreams. So it's really, really interesting. There's a lot of beautiful cinematography as well. You could use this as a tourism thing for WA for sure. A lot of beautiful drone shots and wildlife and this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just a really uplifting, heartwarming documentary that I would say if you don't feel anything by the end of this, if you're not at least somewhat close to crying by the end of this, then you have no soul. It's one of those ones.
Cool. Definitely. Where's that going to be available? Is it coming to cinemas?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I had a screener.
Wow. I was going to say, thank God you had a screener. It wasn't the power of USB technology.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe I can find the answer out. I don't have the answer right now. I don't remember. But
speaking of things you write reviews for, you checked out Slacks, a new film on Shudder.
This is really stupid, but weirdly fun, and it works. So this is one of those ones that's an hour 20. The premise of the horror movie is there's genes, and they're killer genes. And these genes want to fucking kill.
The genes in your body want to kill you.
Yeah, the genes you want to, no. Genes you wear, Ash. All right, slacks. Come on, it's in the title.
Oh, the pants jeans.
Yeah, the pants jeans.
Yes, a pair of
jeans.
So basically picture a slasher horror movie, but it's a pair of jeans wanting to kill people.
I love it already.
Obviously ridiculous. It works because of the short runtime, and it also works because the movie is just so over the top and weird at times. It's set during as I took it, super over the top, stereotypical take on so many popular clothing stores, and I mean the younger ones, so JJ's, Cotton On, all this sort of stuff. All of the staff seem like stereotypes you've seen in there. The way everything's going about it, the manager, it all just seems like it's having fun. the movie has an underlying message about where all of those cheap clothes come from. That is the heart of the movie amongst the silly things. So there is something a little bit
The heart
deeper.
of the movie.
Yeah, like it does have something to say amongst all of it. But I enjoyed it because it is silly seeing the ways they try and go, well, how do we get genes to kill people? It's like, I don't know, like here, like it's like it's nonsense. But it's fun. It's like an hour 20 or whatever. If it'd been longer, it would have been one of those movies where you're like, this is overstaying its welcome. But because it's short, it's in and out fun, silly horror time. I give it a 6. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
So another horror movie that you finally checked out, Freaky.
Yeah, that was really fucking good. So I remember watching the trailer, being like, man, I don't know if I don't know, I just feel off because I thought they stopped doing these type of movies. I feel because there was all these conversations about, I don't know, body swap things, and then like I that one of my favorite documentaries last year, the fuck, I can't remember the name of it now. Disclosure, right? Disclosure is all about trans representation in movies and TV throughout the years, and that was still hot in my mind because that's a fantastic documentary. I feel like everyone should watch it. And a key part they talk about that in that movie is something I've already read articles about, but they touch on that, which is, you know, like everything from Psycho to all these other horror movies. It's like very much playing into, or the scary trans person is, you know, it's actually a man who just is pretending to be a, you know, it's like all that sort of. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. And I remember when this came out, I was like, oh, it's just going to play into that. Like, this seems like such a dumb stereotype. No. This movie is very woke about its body swapping stuff. And it's a lot of fun. Vince Vaughn's fucking fantastic in this movie. He's having the best time of his life. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is probably the best thing I've seen Vince Vaughn do in some time. Plot of the movie. Vince Vaughn's a serial killer. And what's her name? Catherine Newton? I think that's right. Yeah. Sounds about right, isn't it? The Pokemon girl? Pokemon detective
Catherine Newton.
girl? Got it. Catherine Newton, schoolgirl. Anyway, Vince Vaughn goes to kill her with like some dagger he found because it's like, you know, it's mystical or some shit because horror movie reasons. Don't really know. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, stabs her. Of course, they wake up next morning. It's Freaky. So Freaky Friday. Switch body places. What are we going to do now? Of course, Vince Vaughn's character and Catherine Newton's body is like, cool. Now I can kill more people and do it at high school and just like be all undercover and sly and sneaky about it. Catherine Newton waking up in Vince Vaughn's body is like, oh my God, I've woken up in like the worst, dingiest place. There's like skeletons around and like the most over the top, like I'm a horror movie villain bullshit. But then seeing Vince Vaughn playing as if Catherine Newton was in body, it is silly. It's ridiculous, but it totally works. Just like him doing the simplest, like, you know, the stereotypical, like, I'm a girl run with like the hands up at times and stuff like that, which is, it works when it's Vince Vaughn because he's like fucking 8 feet tall or whatever. And it's just like the silliest comedy that seems to work. But yeah, it all comes together the way they sort of tackle it. And it's got some really great kills, some sort of gory kills at times. That's a lot of fun. And it all comes together. I think this is from the guy that did Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You, which I remember I talked about Happy Death Day to You, and because I only watched that one a couple of months ago, whenever it was, I was like, wow, Happy Death Day to You, so much better than the first one. I didn't really like Happy Death Day. I was like,
oh really?
Happy
I hated the first one. Yeah, this is
I didn't love it. I was like, Happy Death Day, didn't love it. Happy Death Day to You, they're like playing a lot more into the silliness of it. I'm like, cool. Second one's so much better. Freaky is even better than that. So I actually feel like this director is definitely getting better as they go. Like Happy Death Day was like fine. Happy Death Day to You is better in my opinion. This is better than both those by quite a lot. So I'm really enjoying the horror comedy. I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but they're getting so much better each one they put out. It's really good.
Awesome. Then you checked out the miniseries I Know This Much Is True on Binge.
So if you want to feel like shit, I would suggest watching this. Mark Ruffalo plays twin brothers in this. His twin brother, I can't remember exactly what his struggle was. He has something he's struggling with to the degree he like has to be put into and he's living in like a what's the official word? I don't want to. It's what it's what I'll get told off for if someone could tell me off, but it's what you would refer to as a mental home, but it's, you know, mental hospital of some sort, right? So I know there's a better name for that. So he's
got paranoid schizophrenia.
Yeah, but what's the actual home called? Like, It's not a mental hospital. That's the incorrect term. It doesn't
like
matter.
a care facility.
Yes. It's not Arkham Asylum, right? Anyway.
I was just about to say Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. Let's add some levity to this because it gets quite dark. Anyway, at the start, I'm going to spoil like the first 20 minutes because I got to set up how fucked up this is. First 20 minutes, you're learning about this. You're learning about this family dynamic. They're like, oh, the mother's got cancer. That's fucked. The brother's over here doing this. Mark Ruffalo, the one that's going all right, like he's struggling with life. He's like recently had a divorce, all this sort of stuff. You're like, what's there? You will learn about that later. That's also got some fucked up history behind it. Anyway, his brother breaks out of the place. And he thinks that God's told him to go cut off his hand in the hospital, which he does. He goes into the hospital and like saws off his fucking hand. And then that's kind of what the setup is. So you're like, that's fucked. What's the family going to do about this? Then you have this whole weird dad relationship. Look, Mark Ruffalo in this is fantastic. He is like playing two very different characters, twins, very, very different ends of the spectrum, both struggling and going through so much. But this is one of the darkest things I think I've watched in quite some time. I binged it, and I think I preferred to binge it because then I could just sort of devour myself in the I feel shit about everything and it making me feel shit. But I went through the tunnel, got out the other end, and this is very much I appreciate this. This is very well made. This is very well acted. But boy, God, if this just makes you feel absolutely terrible about life and everything about life. So, I would suggest binging it if you can. He deserves all the awards for this though. Mark Ruffalo is definitely knocked it out of the park. I think it's the best thing I've seen him in. Actually, I actually think it's the best performance he's given. 2 performances, I guess. Technically.
Yeah. Okay. So I watched the new AFL-centric series Making Their Mark, which debuted on Amazon Prime. Pretty much follows a selection of players and administrators through the 2020 AFL season, through all the ups and downs and kind of that kind of thing. Very much a fly on the wall kind of documentary, following the different players and that kind of thing. Obviously, it like lives and breathes on who they're actually following. So you've got Eddie Betts, Nick Nui, Rory Sloane, Stephen Cornelio, Gold Coast coach Stuart Yu, and the administrators from Bridgman. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, AFL fan, so it's like an interesting insight into that world, kind of behind the scenes, and obviously 2020 being a season that was completely different to any other season. Sort of the first episode ends with the season shutting down. So, that kind of a running theme for a lot of things, sports documentaries that I'm sure we'll see through the year and that we're about to talk about. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting look. Obviously, they got a lot of access and that kind of stuff, and sort of get a look at what it's like, and sort of the backstory of a lot of these players, like Rory Sloane. Of course, his wife had a miscarriage before, and them just having their new son, and how they deal with that kind of thing. And then they've got Stephen Cornelio at GWS, who was just elevated to being captain at the start of that season, but then was just completely out of form all year, and his struggles with that and trying to ultimately getting dropped towards the end of the season as part of the team. So being in the meetings where they're discussing that kind of thing was rough to watch, and you can imagine it was super awkward for everybody involved. But yeah, really interesting. Yeah. I think the weirdest thing I saw, apparently Nick Nui, he doesn't like sleeping in beds. So he'll sleep.
What?
He goes to a hotel. He'll take the pillow and sleep on the floor.
That has to be some deep rooted. That's not just something. That's like I went to prison or something.
No, he's a straight.
Is it because is any reason?
No, I don't know.
He didn't say?
Not particularly. No, he just likes sleeping on the floor. That's just how he is.
Okay. Is it... well, I like laying on the floor, so I can't dispute it.
Yeah. Although,
but I mean, you like sleeping in your bed too, right?
Nick, you've had so many injuries over the course of your career. Maybe this is like a root cause of all this. You know?
Is it his height? Can he not sleep in a bed lengthways? Like
maybe. I don't know. He just likes the feeling of the hard floor.
Maybe needs a harder mattress.
Harder mattress, yeah. So he sleeps on the floor, and then in the morning he just ruffles up the bed to make it look like he was sleeping in there. So, so the staff doesn't think he's weird, but now everybody's going to think he's weird. He mentioned on documentary, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really interesting. And then obviously you got a very good look at behind the scenes for Richmond, who won the premiership overall. So if you're a Richmond fan, I guess you get some extra goodness out of that. But I want to talk about some more sports documentaries, but we need to do it in our mandatory Netflix segment. So I finished the entire third season of F1 Drive to Survive, which follows the third season of this good documentary series. Follows the 2020 F1 season. Obviously this has been one of the premier documentary series of the last few years. A really interesting look, and they obviously find stories each time. It's interesting, they must get so lucky where it just happens at the weekend that they decide to follow a certain crew. Shit happens around them, that kind of thing.
We're going to follow Ferrari. This week they both crash into each other.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And, obviously because they've been doing it so many years now, they have the ability to flash back to footage from previous years and that kind of thing. Because obviously...
even so, they're flashing back to just real life footage and not even footage of a documentary if they need to go that far to tell some of the stories. Because I'm 4 episodes in, I've just got past the Valtteri Bottas episode, which was awesome for the week that they followed him as well, which is just, like you said before about the timing.
Lot more badass than people thought they were going to see.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I can't claim that's what I think Daniel Ricciardo came up with that on Twitter. So, but yeah,
nice.
Yeah, really interesting look at the dynamics between those two. And then going forward, obviously there was a lot of driver changes because Sebastian Vettel
heaps this season.
I feel like Sebastian Vettel's move or non-move, not contract not being renewed, sort of put in play a lot of driver shifts.
Yeah, it was a domino effect. So they had Perez, he went as well. Vettel went, Ricciardo went. There's been heaps of driver changes coming up for this season.
Yeah. It's kind of depressing watching Alex Albon the entire season.
Especially with how they treated Gasly.
Yeah, no, but
in the
it's
2019
really nice
season,
and you just know it's not going to end well.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of thing.
Sorry for him. I can't wait for Pierre Gasly's episode, which is I think coming up.
Yeah, it's definitely. There's a few really good ones. Obviously, I assume one people will be wanting to watch is the 9th episode in which Sebastian Grosjean has a massive car crash and miraculously survived. I thought they told it very, it's very hard footage to watch, and it's because it could have very easily have gone the other way.
Yeah,
it is
his
ridiculous.
Death, which is obviously would be edited and told in a completely different manner.
Yeah, that's true.
But because he comes through with it, I guess.
It's obviously and just kind of the footage, seeing everybody obviously they've got cameras all over the pit lane and seeing everybody's kind of reactions and hearing the audio from all the cars and everything. It's and then obviously having an interview with Sebastian Grosjean after, where it really is a fucking miracle that not only he survived, he pretty much came out almost unscathed. His hands and arms got burnt a little bit, a fair bit, but Romain Crusher. Apologies to
the Crusher family.
Italians. I don't know what. I can't. I don't know what nationality he is off the top of my head. But yeah, seeing Grosjean be interviewed afterwards about the experience, and then especially because before that he had lost his seat. The Haas team had decided to move him on.
He didn't have a seat anymore, and he's had a seat for what feels like an eternity in F1. He's
been a decade in the sport. But yeah, hearing that final interview with his wife next to him and her talking about that, and I won't spoil it, but their final scene together is pretty great.
Do you watch F1 at all?
not much. Like, I'll watch highlights and like keep up to date with all the news and that kind of stuff.
And is that because of Drive to Survive, or you were doing that?
No, yeah, I was doing it before. My little brother is in love with F1. He's like obsessed.
Yep.
He'll make sure he records the races so he can watch them in the morning and that kind of thing. So
nice. I feel like I've got a better appreciation for this season because for most of last season I was up and I generally like went out of my way to kind of watch most of the races, and like remembering the moments with like Gasly, the Hamilton 10-second penalty in the pit lane, and some of the most crazy incidents that occur in that season where they've had to stop and restart races that like hadn't had to do that in like the history of F1 for so long, and then they got 2 in 1 season was just crazy. And then all the driver swaps, like I feel like it was a really good season to actually be a fan of last year with everything.
So now you
limited race schedule,
you can relive it.
I'm so keen, and I'm so glad that it kind of that they drop it now and use it as a really good promotional tool for the upcoming season as well. It's perfect. So yeah, Kim also loves Drive to Survive. She's been nagging me like, when are we going to watch it? I've been playing games, or this night I'm, recording something or doing something else. It's like,
sorry, it's Kim.
When are we watching it? When are you watching it? I'm like, yes, I also want to watch it. Don't worry, we'll watch it soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So then I also watched all of the documentary series. So they did. You've had Last Chance U, which has been focused on basketball, football, junior college football for I think the last 5 years. They'd had a few seasons. 5 seasons, I think, to 3 different schools. So this year they've moved on to basketball. So they've got Last Chance U basketball, which follows the East Los Angeles Huskies, which is obviously East Los Angeles, like a really up and coming team, I guess. It's like a really small, like not well funded or like super. They haven't got a ton of money. Like I feel like some of the other Last Chance U colleges did in the first couple of seasons. It's very much like making do with what they have. But they happen to come across a team that is like, they go very successful during the season. The coach is very much different to some of the football coaches who are very shouty and that kind of thing. I feel like this format works better with basketball because obviously there's less players for a start. Like on a football team, American
intimate.
Football team, there's like 40 potential players they're trying to round up and have potentially have influences on games and stuff. In basketball, obviously, you can only have 5 players on the court. I think the roster's like 14 deep. So you get more time with some of the players. I feel like the I don't know, the casting is good. Reality TV show casting, I guess, is the best way to describe it. They found a really good team. The head coach is a really interesting dude who's like super religious and is very much trying to preach and not teach these kids just about basketball but life in general. A lot of the kids have all their own individual issues as to why they didn't end up in big Division 1 colleges, even though they're very talented and that kind of thing. One of the kids is like coming off his mother passing away from cancer the previous year. One of the kids like was injured during college and like struggled to get back to form and that kind of thing, and some others were just struggled with education and didn't take it seriously, and that's why they didn't get their shot. But yeah, I really enjoyed the season. I kind of I binged it pretty much all 10 episodes or whatever. Unfortunately, it kind of ends the way you expect it to end, based on the fact that it airs in 2020. All the events take place in 2020. So that's kind of disappointing. They also another touching episode. Obviously, they were filming when Kobe Bryant passed away. Kind of seeing all these young men, especially in East Los Angeles, where the Lakers were their team, kind of reacting to that story, was pretty emotional and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely think this one's worth checking out if you didn't like the football seasons. All right. Then I also watched the documentary Operation Varsity Blues. So I'm sure you all remember the massive
sports crazy, Ash.
Well, kind of. This one is about the big college admissions bribery scandal from a couple of years back. Yeah. So it's done by the team that did one of the Fire Festival documentaries.
One off.
There were two. I think they did.
So it would be the Netflix one. If
I
it's a
don't think so. I
Netflix.
think it was the other one. I can't remember.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah. Following the it kind of goes in depth explaining how this scandal or this scam that they're running to get rich kids into the college of their choice, or the college of their parents' choice, occurred, and how they were running it through bribing sports administrators to give them scholarships for bribes and that kind of stuff. Full on behind the kids' backs, so they didn't realize they were getting scholarships. I don't know how that would work, because wouldn't someone question them why you aren't going to training like the first day of college? Apparently that wasn't a thing. But and it's they tell the story with a lot of the, or they got a lot of the audio. They tapped the main guy's phone, so a lot of the audio is from taped phone calls between him and the parents that were trying to get their kids into college. So then they do reenactments in which Matthew Modine plays the main guy. So, it's not just audio things the entire time. Obviously, you've got Matthew Modine on screen doing shady shit and that kind of thing, and sort of explaining everything. Really interesting story. Kind of crazy. The lengths that they went to get there. Really powerful, especially they added footage of kids opening their college letters or college acceptance letters on their computers, I guess, and then obviously some kids being super excited they got into the college they want, and then they juxtapose that with all the kids who missed out, potentially because of all these kids who got weaseled their way in, and then also cut with it felt like YouTuber videos of kids in college reacting to the news as it was happening. Obviously Olivia Jade, Lori Loughlin's daughter was kind of the poster child for this story.
Yeah, I remember. That's the only one I remember from the...
Yeah, so they kind of cover the reactions that she got and how, to a certain extent, she became a bigger celebrity because of it. But, she obviously got a fair bit of backlash and that kind of thing for a lot of stuff that really she actually didn't have anything to do with and that kind of thing. But yeah, a really interesting subject matter presented well. That will also end up making you angry because of the ongoing results of the case so far. But yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting one to check out if you want to find out more about that, what happened in that. Finish out the mandatory Netflix segment. Dylan, you got around to watching. What's the title? Full title. To All the Boys, Always and Forever.
Oh, right, yeah. I was like, what have I watched on Netflix? But yeah. To All the Boys, I'll Love You Always and Forever, or whatever, yeah. Major step up from the second one, which I talked about a couple episodes ago. That movie was shit. I think I gave that one a 4 on Trakt. It was fucking coming off how much we liked the first one. It was such a letdown. This one isn't as good as the first one. That's fine, but it is much better than the second one. It finishes up the trilogy good enough. It's a lot more focused. I could get into the narrative behind this one a lot more. It's less of a... Because the second one had a love triangle, which I was just not into at all. And I gave 0 fucks about. And this one's just okay, they're straight away, they're in love, they're happy, everything's going good. But now they're leaving to go to, where do they go? Is university, right?
Yeah, college.
The
love triangles between them and their future.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. So now it is very much a thing of, he's I'm going to go to Stanford or wherever he gets into. Because he's got a scholarship. He wants scholarship, and then she's I'll totally just go to the closest school so I can visit you and we can stay together forever and ever. But then the film has her fall in love with a different school that is pretty much as far away as you could make it from the school he was going to.
I love this. I love
the scene where she types it into Google Maps or whatever.
Yeah. It's how long is it going to take me to drive?
It's 1 day, 14
across
hours
the country.
Yeah, it's literally from one point in the country to the other. So the movie very much deals into I like the way they tackle it. Like, it isn't a straight up, like, he turns into an ultra dick and he's like, well, fuck you if you won't, like, give up all your dreams to come stay with me, you know, like this sort of thing. Like, I think they handle the story, like,
it's not
quite
one-sided,
mature,
yeah.
and yeah, it's very much not one-sided, and by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's like, I don't think it's a spoiler to say it's very much, they don't give you a definitive, oh, and they lived happily forever after. I mean, you can believe what you want. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good way to finish the trilogy. So one's really great, 2 shit. This one was good. So there you go.
Okay, good to know. All right, and that brings to the end of this Watch History segment. Let's move into some film news. And really, the only thing we need to talk about, the Oscar nominations dropped. And my first reaction was, wow, they're
not terrible.
They're not terrible. There's nothing horribly wrong with these. It's like, there's no terrible outlier or like something.
There's no music nominated or
no music, no like weird
prom
thing that we, you know, nobody thinks was terrible. I'll quickly go through the Best Picture nominations. The nominees are The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7. I mean, I think that's a solid list. Like, there's no bad movies bunch. I think, obviously, some people like some of those films more than others, but I don't think... I don't feel like anybody was upset that that was a list.
I feel like it's a good year because there's like 3 or 4 movies you can be like, man, I don't know which one I even want to win, and I don't even know which one I would be upset. You know, like there's a few choices that if that movie won, you'd be fine. Whereas I feel like the last couple of years, you're like, please don't be this or this or this. Whereas, you know, this year it's like, you know, there's just a bunch of great, and this is the way it should be, where you're like, you know, these are all fantastic movies. Let's just see which is the one that comes out on top, and we'll celebrate that and not be like super upset, like, how the fuck did that win kind of situation.
Yep. Was there any movies for the Best Picture that you were surprised didn't make the list? Or was that the list you thought?
I don't know. Like, I was looking at our list of stuff when they got nominated, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, Sound of Metal got nominated, and Sound of Metal, Riz Ahmed got nominated for Best Actor. So all of the Explosion Network's picks for Best Movie stuff from last year's got nominated. So that's a win, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one that's interesting was First Cow. Didn't get any love, even though that was on pretty much any critic's list who was fortunate to watch it as one of the best films of last year.
That's a problem. Not enough watched it.
Yeah.
You know? You could only watch it for 1 hour a day and a full moon, it seems.
Yeah.
So.
And then, obviously, the other ones I've seen mentioned a lot were One Night in Miami and The Five Bloods. Not picking
The Five
much
Bloods,
up.
yeah.
But yeah. Interesting in the Best Director category, very monumental nominations. Thomas Vinterberg for another round, David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Woman. The first time 2 women have been up for Best Director ever. Well, very much worthy. Thomas Vinterberg.
Got it.
I think
Good
he's obviously the surprise of that bunch. Not many would have expected another round to have picked up the nomination. I think a lot of people were penciling in Aaron Sorkin or Regina King. But yeah, you know, the influence of... I feel like last year's Parasite win is kind of slowly filtered into this year's nominations as well, to a larger extent, obviously with more diversity in the nominees and that kind of stuff. And hopefully it continues in this direction going forward. Buddy?
Yeah, agreed. I don't really have too much to add outside of, I hope it's not like an outlier year because of COVID and the limited releases and all that kind of stuff, that we've got this kind of diverse list and a more like eclectic list, and having, you know, like you said, more films in there that you could kind of champion, and a number of them, instead of just like maybe, you know, one like last year. I feel like Parasite was the one that everyone really wanted to win, and there was like you're saying, Dylan, before, like 2 or 3 things that like, please don't let it be this. Whereas like this year, it's like, yeah, I don't mind if it could be any of these ones that kind of deserve to win with how good they were. So I feel that's kind of across the board as well.
Okay. Running through the other nominees: Best Actor, Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. Of course, important there, Stephen Yeun, the first ever Asian American nominated for that category, and Riz Ahmed for the first ever Muslim nominated for that category. But I think going on awards buzz so far, Chadwick Boseman's probably going to pick that one up, based on everything we've seen so far. Best Actress category, we've got Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andrew Day for The United States vs. Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of Woman, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising a Woman. I feel like that's a very tight category.
That's a tough one.
I feel like they've all picked up awards during this award season, so almost any of them could pick up that. Viola Davis becomes the highest nominated black woman of all time, with her nomination there, with 4 nominations, I think, going just ahead of who was it?
Halle Berry.
Just ahead of Octavia Spencer.
Jesus Christ.
Halle Berry.
Oh, that was the Razzies. Sorry, that was the Razzie nominations I was thinking.
Yeah, the world is not enough.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actor, Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah, which is ridiculous. I mean,
why?
One of them is definitely the lead. I guess if you had to pick a lead for Judas and the Black Messiah, it would be Lakeith Stanfield.
So I based on the trailer, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Really wasn't sure.
I mean, it could be one of those situations like at the Emmys where everybody in the cast goes, "Oh, we'll all be supporting actor." But I don't think. Yeah,
it also comes down to strategy as well, like knowing Chad.
But it's not strategy. Apparently, the
Academy
Academy just votes and decides which category they fit in the best.
Well, it could be strategy by them as well. Like
I don't think they care. Why is the Academy just strategizing?
Don't know.
I think obviously Daniel Kaluuya was the favorite. I feel like with a lot of awards wins, but with Lakeith Stanfield in the category as well, potentially splitting the vote a little bit. It brings everybody else up potentially. But yeah.
And our boy Paul Raci nominated.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that. I was preparing for him not to be nominated.
That would have been the one. See, when we picked that was the one where I'm like, I feel like this is not gonna be something else we'll see at the Oscars or anything else like that. Felt like that was just a very weird thing, but it's kind of justifies us picking him as for the best supporting actor. So
yeah, best supporting actress, Maria Bakalova for Borat subsequent movie film.
Yeah,
Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, and Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Yoon Yoo Jung for Minari, becoming the first Korean woman ever nominated at the Oscars. Obviously, the Glenn Close nomination would be arguably the most controversial one of the...
Everyone said that movie is shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But I guess her performance is the
I don't know.
out amongst the shit. So.
It stands out for one reason or another. I'm sure we'll swing back to this performance later in the show. But yeah, that another close category that could go anyway, I feel like.
Close category. Hey. Glenn Close.
For everybody except Glenn Close.
Okay.
Best adapted screenplay, Sacha Baron Cohen and co-writers for Borat's subsequent movie film. Sorry, I just laughed. I just laughed at its co-writers because there's like 8 or 9 different writers on the film. So I appreciate them shortening that. Florian Zeller and Christopher Hampton for The Father, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, Ken Powers for One Night in Miami, and Ramin Bahraini for The White Tiger. So you're surprised Borat got nominated?
I didn't figure it, I don't get the adapted.
It's based on characters.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Didn't realize. Okay, there you go. Learn something every day.
Based on characters created in.
Yeah, but
Borat,
I thought that
was
only
created in the Ali G show.
Yeah, but I thought based on characters would only work if it was like a remake or something. Like it's just a straight up sequel. So you get to classify it as like adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
Even though it's just a
Previously
sequel.
established material.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Most frequently adapted media and novels, but other adapted narrative formats includes plays, musicals, short stories, TV series, and even other films and film characters.
Yeah, there you go. Learn something every day.
You do.
All sequels are also considered adaptations by this standard.
Didn't know.
Good to know.
Wow.
Best original screenplay: Will Burson, Shaka King, Keith Lucas, and Kenny Lucas for Judas and the Black Messiah. Leo Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, Derek Sia France, Abram Mortar, and Darius Mortar for Sound of Metal, and Aaron Sorkin for Trial of Chicago 7. Yeah, more love for all those. All those already nominated, but yeah.
Is it not an adapted screenplay if they're based on real people?
The Chicago 7 one is a weird one because apparently it was originally based on a documentary, but then they lost the rights to the documentary. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird one, but yeah. Best animated feature: Onward, Over the Moon, Shaun the Sheep, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. Very happy the crews didn't make it in this list.
Yeah, see,
even though I haven't seen that film, But
gotta be Wolfwalkers.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be Soul.
It's gonna be Soul, but it's gotta be Wolfwalkers.
Best international film: Another Round, Better Days, Collective, The Man Who Sold His Skin, and Quo Vadis Idea.
Sure.
Best documentary: Collective, Crip Camp, The Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time.
You just reminded me of one where this is the category where I felt I was annoyed actually.
Yeah, a couple of snubs.
Disclosure wasn't nominated.
Yeah, I feel like this was actually a category where a few different things people were expecting to be nominated didn't get nominated. Like Dick Johnson is dead.
Is dead or whatever.
Yeah, that was a very popular.
I mean, I'm happy Time's nominated because that's really good. And I'm
I feel
happy
like that's
nominated,
probably gonna win.
But I think it will. It's the most arty-farty, to put it bluntly. So yeah.
Best cinematography: Sean Bobbitt for Judas and the Black Messiah, Eric Messerschmidt for Mank, Darius Wolski for News of the World, Joshua James Richards for Nomadland, and Feeden Papa Michael for Trial of Chicago 7. Best original score: The Five Bloods for Mank, Minari, News of the World, and Soul. I think a lot of other smaller stuff. But we'll
Trent
get back.
Reznor wins.
Yeah, I think Trent Reznor is going to win. He's got a double chance, so it's hard to think he'd not win. Crazy to think he hasn't been nominated since Social Network, considering all the work he's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll be back talking about these when we do our Oscar predictions for this year. I look forward to seeing you there, buddy. We'll see who wins this time.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
All right.
I gotta come back and defend my tied crown from last year.
Yeah, tied crowns. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot.
Any other big snubs that you were surprised or like disappointed didn't show up?
No. Disclosure was the only one I was the other one I forgot about, but yeah, that was it.
Buddy?
Nah, nothing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there was a lot of people angry that Delroy Lindo didn't pick up any love for his performance in Five Bloods. But other than that, I feel like it was most people were pretty happy overall. Oh, also, I'm thinking of Ending Things should have got a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, but, whatever.
Wow, say how you really feel.
Yeah, I think it should have. But yeah, going from one end of the spectrum with the best of Hollywood, the Razzies announced their nominations for this year. Of course, bringing
Halle
it back. No, Halle Berry isn't nominated. But Glenn Close is nominated for performance in Hillbilly Elegy. So, she makes history as, I think it's the third person to be nominated for both a Razzie and an Oscar in the same year.
You know what I love about that is that is like the epitome of just being like, look, people's opinions on shit is subjective. Look, someone's nominated for being the best actor and also the worst. There you go.
So, Amy Irving for Yentl, and then James Coco for Only When I Laugh.
I don't know either of these films.
Yeah. James, yeah. But yeah, apparently they both got nominations for both Academy Awards and Razzies for the same role. But the nominees for not Best Picture, Worst Picture, 365 Days, the Netflix, what was it? Like a softcore sex drama.
I remember. Yeah, okay,
Yep. Absolute Proof, the documentary or thing involving Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, that got nominated. Doolittle, the film starring Robert Downey Jr.
Did that come out last year?
That came out last year. I think it came out like early 2020. It's like one of the last films available in cinemas. Fantasy Islands. That one I felt like came out forever ago.
Fucking trash.
I feel like, yeah, apparently that came out 2020. And then, of course, music is nominated, and I think will be the forerunner for this category.
Love to see it.
Yeah, I don't really want to go on, but you know, do the Razzies still have a place? Do you feel like it? The Razzies?
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's drag some shit. Let's go. It's the internet. And, not just for the sake of dragging shit, but let's, stuff's garbage. Let's call it out. I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, good.
Razzies was ahead of their time. You know what I'm saying? Everyone these days is just all about YouTubers. That's all they do. Just drag on shit. Razzies just wanted to do it one night a year. It's fine.
I just feel like they need to be more fair. They've got Rudy Giuliani up for worst supporting actor for Borat.
Yep.
But he wasn't acting, so...
You've never looked at the Razzies properly because they do shit like that quite often. There was one year where they nominated Adam Sandler for like several different... They nominated him like 3 times.
Yeah, Bruce Willis is nominated this year for Breach, Hard Kill, and Survive the Night.
There you
go. So what are you going to
do?
Razzies. Check out the full list of films not to watch or films to make people watch who lose prediction bets. Spectravision, the production company behind the 2019 H.P. Lovecraft adaptation of Color of Space, announced this week that they were cutting ties with director Richard Stanley after horrifying allegations of domestic abuse emerged about the filmmaker. Interestingly, they made a statement saying that they will be donating all future revenue from the film to charities devoted to stopping domestic violence. Which is the first time I've seen anybody offer to put money they're making from abusers up for not their own personal profit. Do you think more people... Well, do you think they will? Because I think, obviously, we think they should.
I was going to say, how are you going to word this question?
Do you think people will follow this?
No. That's our plan.
Should they? Because it's one of those weird art versus artist things where it wasn't just this one director who worked on this film, so it should still be freely available for people to watch if they feel inclined to watch it. But they don't want money going to the director.
Yeah, but the actors don't get royalties.
Yeah, and I guess the production company feels bad about taking money from a project that involved a terrible person.
Look, who gets the money from this movie? It was probably him and the producers, and all the producers work at Spectravision. So that means that let's presume that, I don't know how many people that is, but let's say 3 out of 4, if you take him out of the equation, agreed that this is the best choice of action. The only person losing out of money is him. So, yes. Good decision. Like, that's their decision to make, and that's a good decision. Like, no one's getting fucked over. They're not taking the movie away. They're not saying you shouldn't watch it. They're good on them. When I saw that tweet pop up the other day, I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Buddy?
Whatever.
Cool. So this is a weird story that's done the rounds. Mrs. Doubtfire director confirms the existence of an R-rated cut.
This is... What the fuck?
So, director Christopher Columbus revealed there's an R-rated version of Blood with Company. Mrs. Doubtfire follows a viral tweet that noted Robin Williams played the eponymous Euphegina of Doubtfire improvised so much that there were PG, PG-13, R, and NC-17 cuts of the film. Columbus explained that the numerous cuts came as a result of Williams asking to let me play after he did a few scripted takes. He would then go on to make 15 to 22 different takes with improvised lines.
This isn't a extra cut. This is deleted scenes on a Blu-ray or some shit. This is no... There's one vision of Columbus's thing, right? His vision was the movie and the script. This is absurd wording and trying to cash in on the Snyder cut stuff. Like, this is just deleted scenes, extra stuff they didn't use. This is not like, I didn't get to do my vision type stuff, whatever. Just like...
No, I don't think it was. I think it was based... The discussion around it came from like a tweet by one of those fact of the day kind of sites that he kind of jumped up and said, you know, apparently he would be open to making a documentary about the making of the film and enabling people to see certain scenes re-edited in an R-rated version.
My favorite take
for this.
My favorite take on this was Zelda Williams tweeting, quote tweeting the Deadline report, where the Deadline tweet says, Mrs. Doubtfire director Chris Columbus denies N17 rumors, but admits R-rated version exists. And then Zelda says, he also said the definitive version is the one that's out there, so maybe now y'all can stop demanding I help get this released, laughing face. But if you want to watch Dad swear and sweat profusely, go watch his stand-up. He does plenty of weird R-rated shit with water bottles and arm hair. There you go.
You know, I mean, if we can watch some more Robin Williams that we haven't seen before, I wouldn't be against it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, not in a film. Just release the scenes or whatever. Extras. Who cares?
Do this documentary idea.
No one's like Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire. Fighter. Why am I saying fighter? What's a sequel? It's a sequel, Mrs. Doubtfire. No one's like, oh man, that movie was fucked at release. I can't wait to see the proper edited version. You know, like it doesn't even something like the Snyder thing. Like just leave it alone. Fuck.
All right. Listen, every single week there's so many stories of different projects being announced that we don't have enough time to cover all of them. So I like to talk about them in our segment. Would you want to invest? So we're going to list a bunch of different projects that have been announced or cast this past week. And you let me know if you would want to fully invest, not invest, or partially invest in these projects based on whether you think they're good, whether they'll make money, or whether they're terrible, I guess. All right, let's kick things off. Nope. TV series based on Let the Right One In heads to Showtime with Demian Bichir from the Oscar-nominated actor from A Better Life, set to produce and star as Mark, a husband and father who had the perfect life until his life was turned upside down by a mysterious creature who bit his daughter and then vanished into the night. Of course, based on the Swedish novel and film that was adapted into The Right One In.
Let the Right One. No, Let the Right.
Let Me In.
Wasn't it Let? Yeah, Let Me In. Yeah, I was going to say Let the Right One was in the original. Yeah.
Yes.
Massive invest for me. Throw all the money at it. Is that what you wanted from me?
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I was waiting for Dylan.
I don't want that one. I don't. It just sounds like another remake. But nah, yeah. I'm good.
Okay.
Vampire shit, give it to me.
We're finally finding out what Colin Trevorrow, the director of Jurassic World and almost director of The Rise of Skywalker, is set to work on next. He's set to work on the film War Magician, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as Jasper Maskenline, a world-famous magician and illusionist who used his stage skills to help the British Army during the Second World War.
That's a double no for me.
I'm at a... What do we call the middle option again?
Partial invest.
I'm at a partial invest because I like some magic shit, yeah. I just want to see some magic tricks. It's fine.
Cool.
I'm sucker for magic.
Over on America's Peacock, Natasha Lyonne is set to star in a new TV series called Poker Face from writer-director Ryan Johnson. Quote, I'm very excited to dig in the type of fun, character-driven case of the week mystery goodness I grew up watching, Johnson said. It's my happy place. Having Natasha as a partner in crime is a dream. And we found the perfect home at Peacock.
Give me that Nancy Drew, Veronica Mars stuff. Let's do it.
What? You don't want this, Dylan?
No, that doesn't sound interesting. That sounds like a CW show.
Yeah, give that to me.
Wow.
No time. Get the fuck out of my life. I'll just rewatch Veronica Mars. I'm good.
Okay. Andy Garcia is set to star in a remake of Father of the Bride centered around a Cuban-American family.
That's a hard no.
Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum was set to star in the adventure rom-com The Lost City of D. In which
No.
it follows a reclusive romance novelist who was sure nothing could be worse than being stuck on a book tour with her cover model, and so a kidnapping attempt sweeps them into the cutthroat jungle adventure, proving life can be so much stranger and more romantic than any of her paperback fictions.
Yuck.
Wow.
No. Thought Channing was done with that shit. Was it 2009? Come on.
It's
Dude,
trying to
step
be
up.
romancing the stone and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I hate that movie. It's shit.
All right. Notebook director Nick Cavets is set to direct the film God is a Bullet, starring Jamie Foxx, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, and January Jones. During Christmas week in 1995, a 14-year-old girl is kidnapped by a bloodthirsty satanic cult. Bob Hightower, the girl's father and a small-town cop, embarks on a desperate mission to find her, but his only hope lies with Case Carden, an ex-cult member and ex-junkie living in a halfway house in Hollywood. Their quest, his for his child, her to exorcise her demons, becomes a primal hunt and chase through a savage subculture of drugs, ritualistic violence, but it's Bob who holds the final card to throw into the macabre game. The 20th enigma of the tarot, the angel who signals judgment.
That's a no for me.
What the fuck are you talking about? Gibberish. From the director of
Jamie
Notebook.
Foxx.
Yeah, the
Here comes-
director of The Notebook, making a film about trying to infiltrate a satanic cult.
No.
Okay.
That's like Cure for Wellness, like from the critically acclaimed director of Mouse Hunt. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. McKenna Grace is set to star in a new Disney Plus sci-fi coming-of-age film called Crater. Crater is described as a coming-of-age film in the vein of Stand By Me, set on a moon colony. After the death of his father, a boy growing up on a lunar mining colony takes a trip to explore a mysterious crater along with his 4 best friends prior to permanently being relocated to another planet. Be produced by Sean Levy.
Yeah, nah.
Not having much luck this week.
There's a card you dealt, you know?
I know, yeah.
I've only got so much money to invest.
I know.
I've asked before if we have a limit, because there's some episodes where
No,
I'm
there's
just
like-
investing everywhere.
You got like infinite monies, but you know. All right, finishing up. Kenneth Branagh is set to direct a biopic based on the story of Barry, Maurice, and Robin Gibb, the Bee Gees. Following their first hit, How Do You Mend a Broken Heart, the Bee Gees went on to write and perform hundreds of popular songs and worked as a soundtrack for Saturday Night Fever.
Nah.
I'll have a partial. I like a good music, whatever they're called. What do you call these? What do you call
Bio.
bio? Thank you. Love a good music bio. Now this could be shit, but it couldn't be worse than Bohemian Rhapsody. So see how we go.
Yeah, you know, just staying alive. All
Good
right.
job. Got him.
Moving on to this week's bad idea of the week. Netflix is making a gender swap version of She's All That, starring a TikTok sensation. Remember the 1990 film She's All That? The modern day adaptation of George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion. It starred Freddie Prinze Jr. as a cool high school kid who decided to turn an uncool girl, played by Rachel Lee Cook, into hot stuff, and he did this by encouraging you to stop wearing denim overalls and to take off knitted glasses. It was a big hit, and it found its place nestled amongst the other teen-centric rom-coms that were flooded multiplex in those days. Now a remake is on the way.
Plot of Princess Diaries.
I'm sure it's the plot of a lot of movies. Now a remake is on the way, and it's headed to Netflix. It was called Here's All That, starring Addison Rae, the aforementioned TikTok sensation.
Yuck.
And also brings back Rachel Lee Cook and Matthew Lillard from the original, although they're playing new characters.
Oh man, I have to watch it just to get my Matthew Lillard fix.
Yeah. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being fine, to 10 being the most awful thing ever, what would you give this idea?
There's a 3. TikTok star, really? Is that a thing?
Yeah,
7.
TikTok's the new YouTuber.
7.
Pretty bad.
Wait, 7 is bad? Oh, I thought it was the other end of the scale. Yeah, so we're on the right. We're on the same.
Both at 7s.
Same score.
We'll get the third time. We'll be lucky, buddy. Don't worry.
I misunderstood the scale.
Don't worry. I think he's got the scale wrong, but we're committed to it at this point.
Yeah. All right. Let's move in before we end the show into our What Do You Want to Watch top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
In this episode, seeing as we talked about Zack Snyder's Justice League, a movie that was improved by being much longer, I figured we'd do top 3 movies you wish were longer. Whether you think that you wanted to stay in that world and explore the characters more, or you think it would have been improved by more explanations and, story, character development. So Dylan, why don't you give us your number 3?
Mid-90s. So the...
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's a great answer.
I thought you'd like that. So mid-90s is an hour 25. So it's just shy of 90 minutes. It goes through pretty fast. It's not one of those movies where the movie's great at that runtime, and obviously it works and it's great as is. However, I definitely feel like I could have easily used another 10-15 minutes in that movie, a couple more scenes throughout with the kids and these sorts of things that and I don't feel like that would have made the movie any worse. I don't know if it would have moved my score of the movie, but I definitely could have taken a few more scenes and yeah. Because I remember when it finished, I was like, oh, damn, that shit was over fast. Because I pressed play and I didn't realize how short it was. And I was like, oh, credits. Okay. Jonah Hill, here we are. Your first directorial debut, it's fucking over. All right, dude.
Okay. Buddy, what's your number 3?
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. How do you get through 7 evil exes in 112 minutes? It's just not feasible, especially what happens in the graphic novels. There's so many more cool side things that happen that they just have to cram it all into that neat little package. So I'd like more Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Yes. Give me more Edgar Wright goodness.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's Edgar Wright.
I mean, that was very close to being my number 3. But my number 3 is the film that kind of got inspired.
It's the reason we're doing this. Just admit it's the reason we're doing this.
The reason we're doing this. Raya and the Last Dragon. It's such an interesting world. We only get to explore it for 2 hours, 20 minutes. And they pretty much wrap it up in a way where I don't think they'll do sequels or... I mean, they could do a prequel series, potentially, exploring that world. But yeah, I feel like it could have been explored more. Even, I feel like one of the major criticisms of the film amongst the Southeast Asian community, even though they use a lot of the stuff from their culture, it doesn't feel personal. It's very, like a general look at that culture. It's just very much set dressing. So with some more time in the world, maybe you could be a bit more specific, like the stuff in Moana and the Polynesian community and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel like, Raya and the Last Dragon would, even though it's a pretty long for an animated film, I'd love a extended edition of that film.
Raya and the Last Dragon.
Raya and the Last Dragon. In this extended edition, they would change it to Raya.
Just to help you, yeah.
Yeah, just to help me and everybody else like me who read it like that for the last 2 years. Dylan, what's your number 2?
You Were Never Really Here, starring Joaquin Phoenix. It was kind of his like I think his best performance in some time before Joker, of course, a couple of years later, and then this film kind of went under the radar, I guess, a little bit. It's basically like Taxi Driver, except for a little bit more. I mean, it's a little bit different, but it's most like Taxi Driver. I felt my biggest criticism of the film is I just kind of feel like it's one of those movies where the ending sort of just rushes at you out of nowhere, especially when the movie had been spending a lot of time like seemingly taking its time with its characters and letting you get to know these people and blah, 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 blah. And then the ending is like, oh, boom, boom, thing happens, scene credits. I'm like, okay, that seemed a little bit rushed. I don't know if I completely agree with the way that went down. That was a movie I remember watching and be like, this film felt like it needed a few more scenes, especially with the girl in it that he Taxi Driver saves, or basically to the equivalent of Taxi Driver saving. Could have used a bit more between her and him. And I feel like that would have also nailed the ending, because I've seen a lot of people's criticisms of the film is not understanding what the ending is about and stuff. And although I personally don't think it's that hard if you're actually paying attention to the movie, if they'd had a little bit more time to explore those characters, you could have got a better understanding of what the ending of the film actually means for those characters.
Cool. Buddy, what's your number 2?
Number 2... Oh... I really wanted to save this for number 1, but that's right. It is The Room. I want more of The Room. I want the uncut scene. I want 20 to 30 more minutes. Let's go. Let's see how wacky this can get. I want to see all the other bizarre characters and garbage. So yeah, if you're talking about just experiencing with people, then yeah, the Room.
Imagine.
But if you want a serious answer, it's Donnie Darko. I want more Donnie Darko, and not like the sequel Donnie Darko. I want more of number 1, and I guess more into like the time travel mechanics and the alternate or the parallel universes, not time travel and that kind of stuff. So that'd be cool.
All right.
I know there is other cuts out there.
Okay, but number 2 was The Room.
Yeah, why not? Man, this is on the fly. This list.
It is. Yeah. My number 2. 2015's Fantastic Four. I was actually liking the first part of this film. I think they had a nice build. I think, there was a steady build, and then it like ramps up so fast and then ends so quickly. I feel like if they could get that second half of the film, flesh it out a little bit more, give it a little bit more breathing room, character time, that kind of thing, it could have been, passable. You'd be like, okay, we'll give him another shot at this, but it was good enough to give him another shot. That's my number 2. Dylan, what's your number 1 movie that you wish was longer?
Fruitvale Station, which I only watched, I don't know, like 6 months ago, or whatever it was. Ryan Coogler's first team up with Michael B. Jordan. True story of, got it here, Oscar Grant, who was shot while waiting for a train by the police. It's shy of 90 minutes. I think it deserved more time with the character to help you get to know him and his family, his friends a bit more. And I feel like they could have easily added a few more scenes, and I would have been quite happy with that. Especially because the movie opens with his death, so you know where you're getting to. You know that when you get to nighttime, like as the movie progresses, as the day's going through, it hits nighttime. You're like, oh fuck! Like when they start talking about getting on train, catching a subway or whatever, you're like, is this it? Is this it? You know what's going to happen. I just wish I'd had more time in the day or something, and they could have made it work, because they've admitted although it's based on a true story and a real person, all this sort of stuff, like his day-to-day activity in that 24 hours, is very loosely just what works best for the movie to a degree. Although they're like, oh, he did this, or like they obviously what happens at night time, where he was going that night, is legit because they had to get him to the station. But like during the day, they could have added some scenes to just add a little bit more background to this character and who he is and this sort of stuff, which they tried to do. I just feel like you could have added a little bit more to make that movie stand out a lot more. Like, it's a great movie. I just think it needed a little bit something else to make you care more about that character or that person. Yeah.
Buddy, what's your number 1?
Jaws. I want more shark in Jaws. Okay, I want more terror in Jaws. Like Jaws is already 2 hours, but I want there to be the extended cut of Jaws. I want the 4-hour long cut of Jaws, just terrorizing more of the beach, and we don't see more of the shark, but
More
we see
shark
more
camp.
of the terror and more of the fear and more of the pain. And maybe you can cut part of Jaws 1 into Jaws 2 with the PTSD.
Oh, wow, the
maybe that can
ultimate
be
cut.
the after credit scene where he's like having the fucking, oh my god, is there another shark here type thing. But Jaws, I love Jaws. I want more shark.
Wow.
I love Jaws.
Well, yeah.
I want more shark. What a sentence.
Correct. 4-hour cut of Jaws.
So in
make it
your
happen.
mind, the shark is the hero of Jaws. Is that what I'm getting?
Correct. That's right. Jaws is the hero. His name is Jaws. The shark's name is Jaws.
Wow. All right. My number one, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. A movie that's 2 hours, 20 minutes long, but feels incredibly rushed. There's so many questions left unanswered or poorly answered. I feel like if it was given more screen time, we could have had a more satisfying experience. We could have had scenes where, Rose Tico talked. That would have been a plus, Or, Rey explains why she wants to actually be a Skywalker, and all these other little things give Finn a proper climax to his story and that kind of stuff. I feel like, if Zack Snyder's Justice League proves anything, if you add more story, it makes it better. So, give us the Rian Johnson cut of the movie he didn't
Give
work
us
on.
the Rian Johnson cut of a movie he had nothing to do with.
Yeah, that's what I want. Let him do reshoots. Everybody wants to reshoot The Last Jedi. Reshoot Rise of Skywalker. Extended edition. Sure, we can demand anything we want now, and they'll make it happen. That's how it works, right?
Yep.
Restore the Snyderverse. Even though it's finished.
Hashtag restore the Rian Johnson verse.
Restore Rian Johnson. Just stop there. Alright, that brings us to the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Buddy, where can people find you on the internet if they want to hear more about Jaws?
Over on Twitter at Watson12. Is it Buddy Watson12? Fuck, I've forgotten already.
Oh my god.
It's in the show
cares?
notes.
Watson.
I don't want you to find me, alright? I want to be a recluse now.
It's Buddy
I wanna-
Watson 12 at
I
Buddy
just wanna be-
Watson 12.
That's right. Just leave me alone. No, you can find me over at Radio Watson on all good podcast services and Radio Watson on Twitter at Radio Watson _. Yeah.
When's Shark Week?
Shark Week 2. Yeah, we'll bring that back sometime. Or
I was
just
about to say,
re-release-
I was about to put you on the spot.
I'll re-release Shark Week from RVC. Maybe I can dig down in the archives and track it down.
Just do another one. Do a new one.
See that new shark movie that's coming out?
Yeah.
No. What's it called?
I can't remember now, but it's from the people that like the producers of Bait or whatever.
Bait. I don't think I saw that either.
Bait is the one that is set in the Gold Coast in the shopping center. There's a tsunami.
Yes, I remember the trailer. Yep.
Yeah,
So it's an Australian one.
I think so.
Australian shark movie.
Or was it Open Water? It's the people that produced Open Water. I don't know. Can't remember now.
Ash is doing the fact checking.
I'm trying to...
You trying to find it? Or was it The Reef? Oh, there's so many shark movies.
Yeah, look at Sky Sharks, Deep Blue Sea 3, 47 meters down, Uncaged, Deep Blue Nightmare. I don't think that's any of them.
What? No. It's a good shark movie. It's coming out. Looks good. Not that crap.
Here we go. Wiki. No, that's not helpful.
Oh, well, new shark movie coming out. Just watch all the new shark movies that come out.
Look forward to Radio Sharks coming soon. To all good podcast
That's right.
services.
Oh, it's called Great White. There it
Great
is.
White. Ah,
Yeah.
simple.
Oh, they're
Clean.
making a reef too. Shit. It's all happening this year. It's called The Reef. Stalked. I'm in.
You
Is
hated it.
the reef stalking them? That doesn't make sense. Reefs
I
are
hate
like
the
stationary.
shallows.
Oh, the shallows. Fuck, I get them confused.
See, even you're confusing him now.
Yeah, I am, because we're talking about too many goddamn one-word shark movies. Jaws, Reef, Shallows.
Okay. If you want to find me and Dylan, I guess, and hear us not talking about shark movies, you can find us on Twitter by going to explosioner.com/Twitter, or you can jump to our Discord by heading to explosioner.com/Discord. Leave us a review on Twitter, on Apple Podcasts, or on Podchaser. And if you liked this episode and thought it was worth $1, you can head over to our Ko-fi page at explosioner.com/support and buy us a coffee. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Stay out of the water.
Bring back Shark Week.
I don't think it ever
Hashtag.
went away, right?
Did. It's on a hiatus.
What,
Only
your
Shark
Shark
Week
Week
is-
or just...
Yeah, that's the only one that exists.
Okay.
Yep.
No other place came up with the idea of Shark Week.
Correct.